Hey guys, welcome to the next VFX tutorial. I'm in the middle of like a transition, and that's just because I did some cool research, not specifically on the topic. So I just wanted to make a quick 5-minute, 10-minute video, and then next week we're going to kick straight into it. It's going to be awesome. So you want to be a VFX artist, right? And I thought to myself, what do I know about being a VFX artist? Like, I know how to do Blender, so let me go check some podcasts and stuff out. There's specifically a modeler, VFX artist that I've been following for a long time. So it's been a good 5 years. His name is Andrew Hodgson. He's an Australian VFX, he's a modeler, all right? And a lot of his work has been seen in the Marvel movies that you guys see today. And it wasn't specifically because of the Marvel movies. I just bumped into him on Instagram. And then I've been checking out his stuff as he goes along, because whenever he's working, he posts, oh no, I'm leaving ILM, I got a new job at whatever, oh check, here's the latest, whatever. And if you're not familiar with his work, he's worked at ILM, he's worked at a lot of D-Negative, he's worked at a lot of studios and stuff like that. Anyway, and Andrew Price interviewed him. So I was like, oh my word, what a coincidence, brilliant, Andrew Price and Andrew Hodgson. So I listened to it, and there was also another tutorial that I watched for those guys who know Corridor Digital, the crew out in LA. If you're not familiar with them, go check out their YouTube channel. They are awesome. They do all sorts of crazy stuff. They run through the process of how they do it, and as well as they are funny, very entertaining, learn a lot. But anyway, there's a guy called Clint that I don't know if you're part of them, but I think he's left, but you see his face now and then, but he might be back, because the one VFX artist reacts, he was in there and he's like, I'm back. So he might be back, but he's also got his own channel as well. And I'll put the link below for his channel. But anyway, he does this like almost weekly, monthly thing where he puts out a challenge, and then everybody who's anybody can collaborate, and they can send their stuff in, and then he picks like the top 5 or top 10 of everybody who sent in their stuff, and he does an interview with them. Anyway, but he does a challenge with them. And I watched one of his videos, and where he said, look, these are the 3 things that are 4 or 5 things that he modeled. And so, you guys can, why don't you guys model and let me know how it goes? So I thought, you know what, if I put in an hour or 2 hours every day on Blender, by the end of this year, I'm going to be like way further than what I am right now. So that's what I did. Anyway, I bumped into the tutorial with Andrew Price interviewing Andrew Hodgson, which I didn't know was Australian, because he's often in Vancouver, and then I found he's Australian. And I'm like, oh cool, he's Australian. But anyway, I'm going to give you, I listened to the whole interview, all right? It's like an hour and 38 minutes. You can go check it out. I definitely recommend just after this, just wait, all right? But I'll give you some quickly within 2 minutes here. Basically the outcome of the interview, and then what I thought, okay, but I want to adjust within what I'm doing. All right, so he obviously spoke a lot on being hired as a VFX artist. All right, so if you're wanting to be hired as a VFX artist, this was a very, very, very informal, like full of information. Is it informal? It was full of information and a lot of tips on being hired, because that was something that he set out to be, and he tells his story as well. Very cool. So anyway, the first thing is this, right? Chat to a lot of artists, befriend them on social media, share and learn information. Don't just go out and say, okay, hey, this is what I do, hey, this is what I do, hey, this is what I do, look, this is what I do, but also learn and ask lots of questions. And not only that, but share and learn from each other. That is one of the things that he said, and Andrew shared like specifically, so he's awesome at hard surface modeling. All right, that's like his profession, but he's moved on and he's doing basically concept. He's a concept artist, which is something new that he's taken on, because basically what he found was that he got to a point, and I'll talk about this a lot later on, he just got to a point, he's like, okay, you can only make so many spaceships, they all start feeling and looking the same. So he wanted to take on something else, and he either had the option of, okay, cool, I'm going to go into like sort of leader management role, and he just felt like, okay, but now that's taking a step away from the art. because often when you find yourself moving into that position, you start doing less, behind the computer creating, and he wanted to still continue doing the art. He enjoys it. He enjoys creating and that sort of stuff. So he went into concept artist, and what he found was that when they went under lockdown and he was sitting at home working, he removed himself from people around him, where he could learn and ask questions and stuff like that. And he just found himself not being as productive as what he was. He wasn't learning and developing as fast as what he does. He was developing very slowly. All right. And that's why make friends on social media with other artists, check what they're doing, always continuously. Don't just sit in your own bubble and learn your own stuff, but learn from each other as much as possible. All right. The other thing is that, and I guess I've already gone into this, but keep trying new things. So don't just stick to one part of perhaps, and especially when it comes to 3D, because with 3D, there's so much you can do. You can do modeling, you can do texturing, you can do rigging and animating, because you know that in a studio, not everybody does one thing. And he actually talks about that interview, how usually they'll get the previs of a film, only the part they're working on, and all they'll know, they are like in a bubble of assets. So they don't even know what the scene is. They just know that in there's a spaceship and it needs to look like this, and then they'll model it and they'll send the asset on, and that's it, and the other people will deal with it. But try out, so modeling, maybe you've never done modeling, give it a shot, get good at it, all right? And it takes a long time in 3D to develop yourself in each section that you're in. All right, because there's so much behind it. That's why the studio, you get a load of animators, load of riggers, and everybody just focuses on a small bit, because already there's a lot that goes into it. So go ahead and throw yourself at something else and try and learn something new. All right. The next thing is that this was something that he spoke about, but often when studios are hiring, that the last thing they look at is other people, as in on the internet. The first thing they're going to look at is who has worked here before. All right. Why? Because those people are familiar with the pipeline. There's a work pipeline within the studio. So they're actually first going to look at who worked here before, because, they're familiar with the pipeline. We don't have to teach you. We don't have to put training into time. And if there's nothing there, then they're going to look at who do people already working there recommend? What are the recommendations? And then they will then look at random people on the internet. So it is quite difficult. He actually talks about the fact that when he started at D Negative in London, he had to move there because nobody was hiring him. He was off in Perth in Australia, and there weren't any, you didn't find those studios around there. Now, you could have moved to Sydney because there are people there, but he moved closer. And then not only that, but then he got hired as a runner, which is like the person who does all the odd, like, go fetch this, go get that, go pick up a prop from there. Can you take this to so-and-so? When the clients come, Andrew, please offer them some coffee. So that's how and he did that for 3 months, and eventually he got to know the artists and stuff, and eventually he got given a chance on Guardians of the Galaxy, and his stuff is in there. The next thing is that what's very important, which I don't know how many of you guys, I don't do it, and it's definitely something I'm going to start reaching out to do, but get feedback on stuff that you've done. And I'm talking about passion project. Well, it could be work or it could be passion project, but if you've modeled something really cool, try and get feedback, share it with your friends, share it with other artists. Hey, listen, have a look at this. What do you think? Do you have any advice for me? And when they give you that advice, listen to it, and then follow through with it. He actually spoke about the fact that he hired someone who was following him on Twitter, on Twitch. So he would do a live broadcast on Twitch, and then there was someone who actually followed his advice, was always constantly there, and even like, hey, look, and even gave him feedback. Hey, check here. Look, remember that advice you gave me? Check, I tried it. This is what it does. This is how it helped me. And he ended up being hired. Pretty cool, because obviously within the company, the studio that he was working for, they said, hey, we're looking for someone. Is there someone that you can recommend? Remember, number 2. And he recommended this guy. Anyway, pretty cool. So get feedback, listen, and do it, and you'll get hired. All right. The next thing is, which I've already spoken about, make connections online. Yes, ask for feedback, and also be patient while waiting for that feedback. Don't take it personally when artists don't get back to you. Often they're very busy, or they get your email while they're busy walking to the shops, and then they're like, oh yes, I need to get back to this, and they never do. All right, just be persistent, be patient. All right, they don't owe you their time. It's actually, and be extremely grateful. And at the end, when they've given you feedback, say, Thank you very much for your feedback. I really, really appreciate it. All right. And then something major which he spoke about was try different programs as well, because there's a whole lot of other software. All right. So you've just seen me with Blender. Before I did Blender, I actually did Maya. All right, I modeled in Maya, and apparently that's one of the biggest program for modeling, animation, and rigging that a lot of the top companies use. And often when they're hiring people out, they want to see what other software do they know, because how well are they going to fit within their work pipeline. You know, imagine trying to hire someone and you're looking at someone who their portfolio doesn't look that great, but they know Maya, they know Blender, they know a whole, Substance, Mari, they know Nuke, they also know Houdini. And then versus another guy whose portfolio looks really great, but he only knows Blender. They're going to hire the person with Maya because that's now less training that they have to do. So start learning other programs, all right? Often they're not really that different. You just got to work, really actually train yourself with where that button now is and which more options do you have, all right? Which then led me to say, hey, maybe I need to start doing, look at Maya again, all right? And so something that then I did is then I said, okay, this week I'm going to spend 2 hours every day in Blender, and I'm going to give myself a challenge in which my challenge was, the first thing that I did is I picked up this screwdriver. All right, it's got the head on it, but it's not here right now. And so I've started modeling this already. I will give you guys feedback on the model. And by the way, the challenge isn't going to be the actual modeling. The challenge is going to be the texturing, trying to get the scrapes and all the intricate bumps and all the other scratches on there. I don't know if I can get my camera to focus. You can't, but you can see there's a nick there. And so that's going to be my challenge. And then I'm going to move on. And I think the next thing I'm going to do it in Maya, right? The other software that you want to have a look at, like I said, is Mari or Substance, which is apparently something that you use, the programs that the professionals are using for texturing. All right, so that's something I'm definitely going to be checking out maybe next month. Mari, Substance, and if you're into like visual effects and stuff like that, there's software called Houdini, and another one called Nuke. I've heard of Nuke before, but go try those out, go train yourself in there. There's always something new to learn and stuff like that. And Andrew spoke about the fact that it was really exciting because it's been more than a decade and suddenly he's like at the bottom again and he feels like, shucks, I actually don't know how to do this. And it was actually pretty cool for him to learn that. So give that a try, all right? What if you send your portfolio in your studio and they tell you, yeah, look, we want you to use Maya. You can't use Blender yet. What are you going to do? If you are familiar with the software, you're going to be able to say, okay, cool, no problem. I do know that software, no issue. All right. A professional is very flexible in what program or renderer they use in their tools. All right. The working pipeline, something to look at as well as an artist. And I know that especially if you're freelancing, you often work by yourself. But you know that within a studio, you need to think about the next person that is going to be working on your project. Maybe you're just modeling, and so you go ahead and you have a high topology because it's fun because your beautiful machine handles it. But then what happens? You hand it off to the person who's going to texture your model, and what's going to happen? Well, now they have to sit with your big model. All right, that's something that you've got to learn in a studio on how you're going to handle it. Not only that, but in Blender, you got collections. How do you order your model? Are you naming each and every Are you naming each of your assets within your program? Are you, left wing, right wing, top wing, left, whatever, top shield, big leaf, small leaf, whatever? Or is it just like all of them cube 1, cube 2, cube 3, cube 5? So think about stuff like that. Create collections and stuff like that. I know in Maya they've got hierarchy and that's a lot more flexible anyway, but he spoke about stuff like that. So working with others, setting up and organizing your projects. And then the last thing that I would definitely recommend is to be honest within your work, all right? And, if you don't know something, don't pretend like you do know what they're saying, like, oh, okay, yeah, no, but you don't know. And then what happens when the deadline comes? You did completely the wrong thing, all right? And that's going to knock the whole project back because you didn't simply know. Don't be scared to ask. Don't think, oh, no, but I didn't really want to bother everyone. Everyone looks so busy and everyone is so stressed, so I didn't really want to. Just ask. All right. So like I said, and I've told you guys basically what I've what I've started doing. So I've given myself a challenge, and so next week we're going to start looking at the challenge that I gave myself. Basically, I'm busy building a terrain, so I found a cool tutorial. That's something different for me, because I've never known how to build a terrain, like a landscape, or with vegetation and stuff like that. All right, that's definitely taking a step out of my comfort zone. So I started doing that in a tutorial, even building plants, and then I'm going to be using a particle system to distribute those plants. Pretty interesting. Like I said, I'm hard surface modeling, which I'm very familiar with. Hard surface modeling, that's not a challenge for me, unless it's a difficult mesh. But I'm going to be texturing and making it look extremely photorealism. All right, and so that's what I'm going to be doing every week. So I'm going to spend more time in Blender in 3D, and I'm going to challenge myself with more programs. So anyway, guys, starting next week, we're going to start doing, now remember what I told you in my last tutorial, that we're going to be starting something cool that's going to be cooler than animation. Yeah, this is it. So we're going to start looking at what it really takes to be a VFX artist. I'm going to do a tutorial on Maya. I'm going to do a beginner's crash course, and then I'm going to model something in Maya. All right, and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks in that as well. We're going to get into Mari, Substance, Houdini, Nuke. I'm sure that they have 30-day trials that we can look at definitely. And yes, so hopefully stick here. All right, subscribe, because you're going to get notified when my next video comes out, and like this video because I know that you like this video. So until next week. And comment below if there's other programs that you've tried out, or something that I should have a look at, or something that is challenging for you as well that you're also going to try, or give me feedback as well, no problem. But anyway, guys, to the next video, see you guys then. Cheers.